Namaskaram. In the video before the last one, I spoke about what we did in the year 2020 as part of Shuddhi Vidya, and I spoke in depth about some of the challenges we face in executing all of our activities. And in the last video, I showed you a sneak peek of a new platform that we're building, which is aimed at solving some of the problems that I discussed in the video before that. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what's ahead for this year, and I'm going to begin by giving you a summary of what has happened so far and some analysis of the statistics of what happened, and then I'll proceed to give you a list of things that we had planned to achieve this year. So what's happened so far? Since July of 2020, we've been engaged with Isha Vidya. We've been working with 3 of their schools in Coimbatore, Erode and Dharmapuri, and we are collectively targeting around 506 students to teach them web development. Okay, this is just web development using HTML and CSS, and the whole point of it is to give them a foundation in programming using HTML and CSS as a gateway for that. Now, if you look at the statistics here, out of the 506 students that we aim to target, by the way, these 506 students are part of classes 6, 7 and 8 in all 3 of those schools, and those are the available candidates for this course. So these numbers were gathered by the teachers of the classes, and out of those 506 students, 413 students responded to the registration process. So we had a process of registering these students using a Google form. They were supposed to give us their details and be part of the system. So only 413 students responded to that, and out of those 413, only 248 students followed up by joining the Google Classroom, which we had asked them to join after they filled up the registration. So right there, you can see that we've only been able to reach effectively half of our target audience. And even in that 248 students, 95 students joined the classroom and didn't do much. They just joined the classroom and then left it at that. They didn't submit any assignments or complete any homework or anything like that. So barring that 95 students, 153 of the 248 students who joined the classroom actually scored more than 5%. And of those 153 students, only 22 students got more than 75%, which is considered to be the pass percentage. So effectively, we boiled down to 5% of the individuals who responded to the registration who actually passed the course. Keep in mind, I'm not even counting the total number of target students. I'm only counting the number of students who responded with registration. If we take the percentage of 22 over 506, it's going to be lesser than 5%. But even with the 413 students, we have only 5% of the total strength who've actually passed the course. So this set of figures should give you an understanding of how the course went, what the scope of it was, and how successful it was. This is a graph showing pretty much the same thing that I just described. So we have score percentage on the x-axis and student count in the y-axis. And you can see that between 0 and 5%, there are 253 students who scored less than 5%. And there are 88 students who scored between 5 and 25%. And there are 37 students who scored between 25 and 50%. And there are 11 students who scored between 50 and 75%. And there are 22 students who scored between 75 and 100%. So this is out of the 413 total students, and this data is up to date as of 20th of March, 3 p.m. So again, this should give you a sense of the participation levels. Clearly, there's a huge number of students who did not participate at all. Now, in analyzing the statistics, there's no need to even mention that the participation levels are quite poor, and there are certain reasons for this. We've actually conducted monthly meetings with the student leaders in discussing what the reason for their poor participation is, and the reasons that we get from them typically falls under one of these. The main reason being restricted smartphone availability. So what happens is these kids are from rural areas where they only have one smartphone in their home, and that belongs to their parents or siblings, and they end up taking their smartphone with them as they go out to work or do other things, and the amount of time that the student has access to that smartphone is very limited, and therefore they cannot actually invest time in doing the work that we assign them. So that is the number one stated reason. And the second reason, which in my estimation is relevant here, is the lack of in-person guidance. Now, these kids are staying at their home and they don't have any parental guidance in terms of helping them with the course. Most of these parents are themselves not from an educated background, and obviously we don't have the teachers present around them live because the schools are shut down. So there is a lack of adult supervision for these kids, and because they're quite young, they're 12 to 14 years of age, so that does have an impact in how involved they are. So that is an important reason for the poor participation levels, and this should fix itself as the schools reopen. The third reason is that there is a certain level of sophistication to the course content. HTML and CSS typically don't get taught to this age group in this manner that we are trying to reach to them. There is a lot of emphasis on independent learning and self-driven approaches to learning that are part of this course, and that may not be the easiest of approaches for kids of this age group to pick up in isolation without supervision. So that is one issue. The other part of that is that there are some challenges associated with the fact that we have WhatsApp, Google Classroom and then the leaderboard app, all of it is disconnected, and it's a bit logistically challenging for these kids to quickly pick this up. Another really relevant issue here is the issue of comprehension. Most of these kids are coming from rural background, and their English is not the most up to speed in terms of what is expected in a course like this. They do struggle to fully understand what's being written in the instructions. We do have all of the course content being explained in Tamil as well. So Tamil and English both are available as a medium of instruction in this course. But still, all of the instructions are written in English, and the kids do struggle to fully understand the detailed instructions. So that is an issue that exists. And they also have an issue with freely expressing themselves in English as well. I would say that not everybody is struggling with this, but there is a fair number of students who are struggling, and that makes it an issue. And there is also the other issue of lack of interest or focus or initiative from students, specifically because of the special circumstances that we're in, which is that the schools are shut down and they don't have the guidance from teachers or adults who are immediately around them. So that is also an issue. Some of the kids that we've spoken to mentioned that they find their teammates and friends just roaming outside and they just want to play. So those are also issues contributing to the poor participation levels. And besides the poor participation levels and the possible reasons for that, there are other key takeaways from having conducted this course. The most important of it being that there are students who are part of this course who, despite all of the challenges presented to them, have been able to drive themselves to the point of success. So these self-driven students are taking up initiative to reach out to me, get their doubts clarified. They want to figure things out. They do things that are not prescribed to them. So there is a handful of these students who are taking initiative and taking the responsibility for their education, and that is very important to note, and it's very fulfilling to see these students do it like this. And in the end, these are the students that anyway will get to success, and it's a pleasure to serve these kids with the opportunity to learn something that will actually be very useful for them down their academic careers. So this is a summary of what has happened so far. So the numbers and the analysis here should give you a sense of what happened, what was the scope of what happened, and what were the pitfalls and the general context of what went on. Now let's look at what's ahead. As I discussed in the previous video, we are building a platform, a custom web platform for all our course related activities. This will involve everything from hosting the course content and having the kids come in and engage in the assignments and submit their work, and also communicate with the teachers and instructors to get their doubts clarified, and also look at reports of their performance. All of these things will be in one platform, and this will tremendously ease the challenges associated with the ecosystem that I described in the video before the last one. And this new platform is something that we are very excited about. This can fundamentally change the scope of our initiative, because what we've been doing so far is kind of experimental and it was not something that can be scaled up to large numbers. But this new platform will enable us to expand further and increase the number of students that we're able to reach conveniently, and also minimize the amount of effort that we are putting in to effectively conduct these courses. Now, besides the building of the platform, we're also going to be taking some measures to improve the participation levels. Now, one thing that we anticipate will happen in the next academic year, that is the 2021 academic year, is the reopening of the schools. And that by itself should lead to a lot of improvements in the participation levels, because one, the students will have access to computers, so they can no longer complain about not having access to smartphones. And number two will be that the students will have the adult supervision, the guidance of the teachers in the school, which will also help us organize the course better and ensure that the students are being taken care of and they're able to have their concerns addressed. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the new app will ensure that the students find it easy to use the platform through which we are conducting the course. Now, the other thing that we want to do is expand the number of courses that we have in our catalog. So far this year, we only conducted the HTML and CSS course, but in the upcoming year, we want to increase this to these 4 topics. WordPress and JavaScript are going to be additional coding related, or rather computer science related courses. And we also plan to have this English communication and soft skills course, which will give them a really practical approach to expanding their English usage. We want to ensure that they are not only able to fully understand what is being communicated to them in English, either in the written medium or the spoken medium, but also that they're able to express themselves in proper English. Because right now what I find is that a lot of these kids, they may understand what is being told to them, but when they ask questions or when they try to speak up, they always, without an exception, they always use really poor English. Their grammar is off. The way they construct their sentences are poor. So there are a lot of issues right there. And we also aim to improve the digital communication skills. For example, being able to email, being able to create a PowerPoint presentation, or being able to just approach someone with a question. All of these very basic things that we take for granted are still things that need to be explicitly taught to them. And this course is going to be something that will address that gap. Now, again, this is part of the plan, and whether we're able to deliver it within this year and how comprehensive of a course it will be and when we'll launch it, all of these things are not set in stone right now. But we have an idea of creating a course like this. This is definitely perhaps more important than some of the other courses that we've listed here. But because we're also developing this new platform, we may not be having the bandwidth necessary to push this all on schedule. But this is on our scope. And the last thing that is on our radar at this moment is the possibility of expanding the number of schools that we partner with. At the moment, we are partnering with 3 of the around 10 Isha Vidya schools, and that is being done on an experimental scale right now. But we hope to increase the number of schools that we're partnering with soon. That will likely not happen this year because we already have the new platform that is being developed and the new courses that are being developed. So practically speaking, it will be something that will effectively happen in the next academic year, which is 2022, because by that time we will have already established the new platform and we would have shown how these many courses catering to these many kids can be done successfully through our platform. And that will be a proof of how reliable we are as an initiative that will help the other schools to feel encouraged in partnering with us. So these are all the things that we plan to take on in the coming months and perhaps coming years. And eventually the goal is to create a sustainable initiative that keeps scaling up to the point where it reaches to all the regions of the country. So basically our goal is to cater to every child in this country who has the talent but lacks the necessary opportunities to help them realize their fullest potential. And we are starting with coding and English and stuff like that because these are easier to market. But eventually we hope to expand the number of topics that we address, even including stuff like sports or music or other extracurricular activities that may not be seen as important in the traditional context. But we want to make sure that we have a platform that helps individuals across the economic spectrum realize their true potential and help them become the best they can be. That's it for this video. Please post your questions or comments or suggestions down below and I'll be happy to address those. Also, please like and share this video so that what we're doing can be visible to a larger audience. And if you wish to support us, you can support us by either donating or volunteering with us. You can donate to us on Patreon or UPI, and you can volunteer with us by filling out a form and we'll reach out to you. Links to all of those are down below in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.